today is covered by Treaty 3. It was a treaty signed in 1792 between the principal chiefs of the Mississauga Nation and John Ray Simcoe, a representative of the province of Crown. The treaty covers the territory lying between Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. We are grateful to the original caretakers of this land. We would light our Christ candle as a symbol of the light of Christ which shines in the world. Peace be with you.
And also with you.
We're going to keep working on this.
We should connect now.
You should connect now. Okay, before I do the call worship. Yes, good. Great. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give as the world gives. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. In a world filled with violence and war,
We gather together to celebrate the promise of peace.
in a world filled with tyranny and oppression,
We gather together to celebrate the promise of justice for all.
in a world filled with hunger and greed,
We gather together to celebrate the promise of plenty for all.
our hope is in the name of the Almighty God.
The Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer of heaven and earth.
Let us pray. Creator God, we are thankful for this place of worship, this community of faith, where we can come to you and intentionally spend time singing your message, hearing your word in Scripture, and considering the great plan that you promise us and how we must live in a place that isn't quite there yet. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I invite you to join in singing, O God, our help in ages past. Is it? I brought it, yeah. Don't.
It's number 806.
806.
Yeah. Here's something I can do too. So we can connect it again. Yes. Okay. Before we do our prayer of confession, I will confess that I was late this morning. And I know I'm forgiven, so that's why I come here now. But let us, in a more serious frame of mind, enter into a prayer of confession. You ask us, Lord, to love our enemy. Can we love the person who lies to us? Can we love the person who steals from us? Can we love the person who harms us? Can we? What would happen if we did? What would it look like? I cannot love like you love. You love everyone, all the time, no matter what. Let me start small, with a gesture or a kind word. Show me how to love. In our words of affirmation, Jesus looked at them and said, with humans this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. Thanks be to God. And I can ask someone to read the poem. Oh yes, I didn't see you there. So, great, wonderful. Eleanor is going to read this the poem for us.
It's usually the tradition that we do in Flanders Fields, but the poem that you have in your bulletins today is written by a young man aged 14 with deep meaning. You could follow along if you wish. 1,000 men are walking side by side, singing songs from home, the Spirit as their guide. They walk towards the light, the Lord. They walk towards the sun. They smoke and laugh and sweet men live on forever in the hearts of those they saved, a nation truly grateful for the path of peace they paved. They march as friends and comrades, but they do not march for war. Step closer to salvation, a tranquil, steady core. The meadows, like golden beams, a beacon for the brave. The emerald grass, untrampled, a reward for what they gave. They dream of those they left behind, and know they dream of them. Forever in these poppy fields, there walk 1,000 men. This is written by Joshua Dyer, who was just 14.
So at this time, I'd like to invite Carol and Kelly to bring forward our wreaths in honor of the fallen. They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we remember them. I invite you to remain standing for the last. Okay. Here, show us. They were young as we are young. They served, giving freely of themselves. To them we pledge, amid the winds of time, to carry their torch and never forget. We will remember them. So please remain standing if you're able for the singing of the national. And there was an announcement that I made at the beginning. We'll share this before we have our scripture in our service. Would you please read this?
On behalf of George Tucker, who is not able to be here today, the excerpts from the last will and testament of poor Violet Irving. It said, I have divided and bequeath all of my property of every nature and kind, and to wheresoever, including any property over which I have the general power of appointment to my trustee as trust. In the event of my death, my estate shall be divided as follows. It is my further wish that $30,000 be given to the Sheffield United Church trustees to be invested by such trustees and interest only used for church purposes. In the event that any time in the future the laws require that the trust end, then the capital remaining may be used also for their receipt of person professing to be treasurer or other property officer, and for the time being of each of the said organizations respectively shall be fully discharged to my trustee, who shall have no further responsibility in connection therein.
Thank you very much. So that is really a beautiful gift, a very significant gift to our congregation. There is a letter from Dr. John, and I'm going to post this on the bulletin board downstairs, that we would like you to just have a look at it. So thank you very much. Our first reading is from Colossians 3:15. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which indeed you were called in one body, and be thankful. And the next reading is from John 15, verse 13. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. Word of the Lord.
So as a, and we're going to actually watch a video of the members' fields and a few slideshows.
Once I was asked to be a supply minister on a Remembrance Day. It was maybe 5-6 years ago. And when I was telling someone I was going to supply this particular church in Mississauga, they said, oh yeah, a lot of ministers get a supply on Remembrance Day. Because if they're going to be off one day, it's a good day to be off in the sense that it's a very difficult service to do. It's very difficult because on Remembrance Day there's a tension between honor and regret. We're honoring acts of courage and service and sacrifice, at the same time regretting that they had to happen in the first place. It's a difficult tension to hold. I was speaking with an Army chaplain. He also attended Emmanuel College, and he was preparing one of the services, a cenotaph on the university campus. And he said that he worked very hard to make sure that he didn't glorify war in his service, because he knew too well the horror of war. He'd experienced it. It's really easy to glorify war, because when you talk about courageous people doing courageous things and acts of self-sacrifice, you start talking, they become heroes, and there's nothing wrong with them being heroes. But if that's all that you focus on, and you don't focus on the darker side, then it can feel like you're glorifying war. In war, people lose what they love. Their family members, homes, friends, lives, limb, and some lose their faith. And if you lose what gives your life purpose and meaning, if you lose hope that you are part of something bigger and that you are loved by something eternal and good, which we name as God, then you are truly lost, and the world looks truly grim. For this reason, armed forces have trained religious leaders, chaplains, often called padres, who are responsible for the religious and spiritual care of the troops. They support the soldiers and their families in their faith and in their search for meaning. There's such a great respect for what they do that according to the Geneva Convention, they are considered non-combatants in a war. And they cannot be intentionally targeted. And according to the Geneva Convention, churches are also off limits in times of war. It's not to say that army chaplains are never hurt or killed, because they are. That happens, and churches are never destroyed in war, because yes, that happens too. But the intention of the Geneva Convention and what all what we have agreed to do as all the peoples who are signatories of this agreement is that you will not intentionally try to kill or harm a chaplain or destroy a church. There's a really great story that I came across, and I'm surprised I hadn't heard it before, because it's a true story, and you may have heard it. It's about 4 chaplains. It's often called the 4 chaplains story. And in the US, I think it's in February, they have 4 Chaplains Day. It's a story about 4 chaplains who served in the Second World War. They all went to Harvard chaplaincy school to learn how to become a chaplain in a war. There was a rabbi, a priest, a Methodist minister, and a pastor from the Reformed Church. The 4 chaplains, Reverend George Fox, Rabbi Alexander Good, Reverend Clark Poling, and Father John Washington, were all aboard the SS Dorchester when it traveled from the US to Europe. The ship carried over 900 troops and a shipment of much-needed supplies when it was struck by a German U-boat in the Labrador Sea. Now, survivors tell that what happened, and they saw that the chaplains worked hard to calm the men and to organize an orderly evacuation of the ship and help guide the wounded to safety. The men had been told to sleep in their life jackets because they knew there was a danger of a U-boat attack. But the men who were sleeping near the engines, like below decks where the engines were, it was very, very hot, and the life jackets were hot. It was also very uncomfortable to sleep in those bulky life jackets. So a lot of the men were sleeping without their life jackets. And then when suddenly the boat was struck and there was panic and everything, they ran to go up on deck. There were men without life jackets, and a survivor told that he saw the chaplains remove their own life jackets and hand them out to people without them. And he noted they did not say, "I'm a Methodist minister, is there a Methodist? I'm a rabbi, is there a Jew?" They just handed out their life jackets. Here are some accounts that people, survivors wrote. "As I swam away from the ship, I looked back. The flares had lighted everything. The bow came up high and she slid under. The last thing I saw, the 4 chaplains were up there praying for the safety of the men. They had done everything they could. I did not see them again. They themselves did not have a chance without their life jackets. According to some reports, survivors could hear different languages mixed in with the prayers of the chaplains. There were Jewish prayers in Hebrew, Catholic prayers in Latin, English prayers. At Dieppe, another chaplain, Canadian Padre John Foote, who was a Presbyterian minister prior to the war, fought to find the wounded among the fallen and carry them to safety. Not only did his actions save many lives, but he also inspired those around him to help. He was one of the lucky ones. At the end of the grueling day, a landing craft arrived on the beach, and he was beckoned on board. He went on board, but he didn't stay on board. He couldn't stand to leave the men behind. He knew he could help them. He got off the landing craft and deliberately walked to a German position where he was taken prisoner and remained in captivity until the war's end, serving the men as a faith, spiritual, religious leader. After the war, Padre John Foote was awarded the Victoria Cross Medal. Fighting against a loss of faith, a loss of meaning, purpose, a belief in a higher power, a supreme being, or a force of good. This is what we as Christians are called to do. This is what Jesus did. He fought too. He gave up his life, and he did not die. We remember Jesus. We remember the people who follow Jesus, and we remember that their actions resurrect faith. When the war is over, chaplains have another struggle, because after a war ends, many people have seen and experienced devastating things. It's really hard to believe what they have seen. And there's a book I read recently, and there's a very poignant conversation in this book between a World War I veteran and a vicar. The veteran is suffering from his experience of war right now. Today we'd probably call it PTSD. He's just going around the country looking for odd jobs. He was an artist prior to the war. He finds a job painting, restoring. The vicar is sullen, is just concerned about minor sort of administrative tasks. Really seemed to have lost his purpose too. And this is their conversation. The minister says, the vicar, "It's not easy. I wasn't always like this, not always as I appear to be. But I'm embarrassing you, Mr. Birkin. You too," the minister says to the veteran, "you too have no need of me. You have come back from the place where you have seen things beyond belief, things which you cannot talk about, yet cannot forget, but things which are at the heart of religion. Even so, when I have approached you during your stay here, you have agreed that it is very pleasant weather for this time of year. You have nodded your head and said that your work is progressing well, and you are quite comfortable in the loft. And all the while you hope that I shall go away." I feel the sadness of that vicar, wanting to be of help, wanting to give spiritual care and minister to this man who has lost his faith. And because the vicar cannot help, he lose faith in the power of church to make a difference. We gather as a body of Christ. Whether we fight a war on a foreign shore, a war on drugs, a war on poverty, we can rely on God to help us find the hope. God is inspiring acts of courage and kindness all the time. God works through us and others. That peace that Christ promised will come. Okay, let's speed it up. I invite you now to join in singing "This Is God's Wondrous Work." Now is a time of offering. Many have given to us. Any gratitude we give back. And we hope and pray that what we give will make a difference. Your offering will now be received. Lord, bless and multiply these gifts so that these gifts may enable the kingdom to come and your will to be done. In Jesus' name we pray. What we've learned here with this system is if I have to find an album that's long enough. If I play music in the background, the connection. Almighty official. Do that. And hopefully the connection will stay. Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, we are thankful that you are with us in times of peace and in times of war. We are thankful that when our faith flags, when we experience doubt, that you will show us that you are still working in the world and that you are with us. Lord, we come to you in times of great difficulty, in times when we are challenged. And this is a challenging day for many. It's a challenging day for people who have lost their health because of war, who've lost their mobility, who've lost their livelihood, from the people around them, from the things that they see, from the people that they encountered, that what their loved ones did matters and will always matter, and that they themselves matter and are loved. Help show us our love to people in need. We think of people in our own community who are struggling with illness and loss, and we ask you, Lord, to accompany them and help us to be you to them. We think of a little baby at McMaster now, baby George, who is struggling with a serious illness. And we ask you, Lord, to be comfort and hope to his concerns and people that lay heavily upon him. Thank you, Lord, for hearing our prayers, and we say to you the words of the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. And our closing hymn is I Brought Peace Like a River. There's 3 verses. So, peace like a river, joy like a fountain, and love. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord.